again. It's Moritz and I, as per usual. Today we'll be tackling the 3 common mistakes that you'll make when writing your will. So Mo, without further ado, take us through the first error.
Yeah, so Andrea, and morning everyone. I think the first one to speak about and the most common thing is ruling from the grave. So often people will put clauses in their will which invalidate the will because they're trying to essentially pass on wishes that can't be done through a will. So as an example, you might have someone that gives their one child a deposit for their house, and then in their will says that the other child needs to get the sales from that house up to the loan amount, and that's actually not enforceable, which then invalidates the will. But there's a lot that can happen in ruling from the grave, such as person dies and in the will says, yeah, my parent or someone must get X amount for the rest of their lives. That invalidates the will because it means that the estate would have to stay open for an indefinable amount of time. And so, yeah, be careful in ruling from the grave. I'm sure you've seen it with your clients.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen people try leave things to their kids that don't really belong to them, or in a case where I had the one client where she was married in community of property and was leaving things to her friends and relatives. Meanwhile, on death, if you're married in community of property, everything goes into your spouse's care.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, the spouse had ownership of everything. So the entire will process was invalid there.
Yeah.
Another thing I find that clients tend to get wrong when writing a will, they'll have heirs, but then they'll neglect to include a substitute clause in case those substitute heirs in case those heirs are no longer around at the time of their passing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a sad thing to think about, but I mean, unfortunately, you do need to think about, okay, so what happens if I die and I've left my estate to my spouse? So what if my spouse dies, with me or shortly thereafter, before the will, has been lodged or anything, whether you have kids or not, you need to have at least one layer of substitutes. Some people even go down to 3 layers, and it just makes sure that, again, your will isn't invalidated if that first beneficiary is not there.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, people don't keep their will top of mind.
Yeah.
So things happen, there are deaths, life carries on. And a lot of the time people forget completely. They think, I've got a will, everything's fine, but circumstances have changed completely. I mean, the heirs are no longer there or whatever. And yeah, people just don't keep their wills as current as they should be. How often do you think people should relook at their wills?
So there's two frames of thought around it, either yearly when you review your finances, or whenever there's a large event that happens in your life. The second one's more difficult because, as you said, it's not front of mind. So when you're getting married, the last thing you're thinking about is updating your will. Or if you move to a new property or whatever. So probably the best is to just have it as part of your review process every year.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're incredibly wealthy and you're getting married and your spouse is egging you on to update your will, that should be a red flag in general.
Yeah.
So what would you think the third point? So we've gone ruling from the grave. We've got not having substitute heirs. What would be your number 3 common mistake people make when writing their wills?
The third one's relatively easy as well, and that's just simply invalidating your will by signing it incorrectly. So signing a will seems like a fairly straightforward thing, but often we'll get someone that says, no, we've got, as an example, I've got a will. Okay, so that's fine. So where is it? No, it's in the safe. And okay, so has it been signed? Yeah, no, I've signed it. And I'm like, okay, and who are your witnesses? So the first issue in that case is not having witnesses. which invalidates the will, or having witnesses that can't sign the will. So the couple of rules are, witness must be over 16, they must be able to witness from a mental standpoint, and they shouldn't be linked to the will either. So, if you're leaving your estate to your spouse, then that spouse can't witness your will. Well, they shouldn't anyway because they're your spouse, but things like that. So signing your will incorrectly is definitely the third mistake.
Yeah, I would actually stress the importance of that one, because it's an easy enough one to get right, but
Yeah.
it's also the easiest one to get wrong.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And when you say signing, how do you prefer to do it? Do you get your clients to sign every single page, initial every page?
You have to. So the rule of thumb, and that's also a good point, is you must sign every page, full signature. And if you're signing, just to be careful, I mean, if you're signing on the last page where it says testate or testate tricks, sign again at the bottom of that page as well, just so that everything is standard. You don't want the master to, kick out anything, for stupid reasons.
Yeah, and don't print back to front.
Yeah, single-sided.
Single-sided only.
Yeah.
Cool. So I definitely learned a bit more about writing wills, and I'm going to update my wife's one as soon as possible. No, all jokes aside, that was great. Thanks, Mo.
Thanks, Andrea.
This is a bit of a shorter one. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel. Just a disclaimer, these are our thoughts and opinions and not to be misconstrued as advice. Cheers.